Commander Tay stood at the window of the human ship Hope. His eyes took in the huge space station ahead. The Galactic Council headquarters was bigger than any building ever made by humans. It spun slowly against the backdrop of stars. "Ready, Commander?" asked Chief Science Officer G. She joined him at the window. Tay nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." At 5'9", Tay was tall for a human, but today he would be small. Very small. The aliens waiting for them were giants. "Remember," said G, "they may be bigger, but we have our own strengths." Tay smiled at his friend. G was the smartest person he knew. If anyone could help humans join the Galactic Council, it was her. "Let's show them what Earth can do," Tay said. The docking bay was massive. Tay and G led their team of 5 humans off the ship. They all wore their best blue uniforms with the Earth flag on their shoulders. Waiting for them was Council Guard Zur, a member of the Kuln species. Zur stood 12 feet tall with 4 arms and gray skin. Next to the alien, Tay felt like a child. "Welcome. Tiny ones," Zur said in a deep voice. "The Council will see you now." Tay kept his face calm, but the words stung. Tiny ones. This was how the galaxy saw humans. Small, weak, not worth taking seriously. Today, he would try to change that. The council chamber took Tay's breath away. The ceiling rose at least 50 feet high. 7 massive chairs formed a half circle at the front. In them sat the representatives of the 7 most powerful species in the galaxy. Supreme Counselor Mev of the Kuln sat in the middle chair. Like all Kuln, he had 4 arms and stood 12 feet tall. To his right was Ambassador Sith of the serpent-like Visari, whose body stretched 20 feet long. To his left sat General Bach of the Drax, a species of warriors with rock-like skin, who each weighed half a ton. The other council members were just as big. The smallest was still twice the size of a human. "The Earth delegation may approach," called out Mev. Tay led his team forward. They looked so small in the giant room. "We thank the Council for this meeting," Tay said. He spoke loudly and clearly. "Earth is honored to be considered for membership in the galactic community." Mev leaned forward. "Commander Tay, is it? Your species has only achieved faster than light travel within the last 20 years. You are very new and very small," added General Bach with a rumbling laugh. "I could fit 3 of you in one hand." Several council members laughed. Tay felt his face grow warm, but he kept his voice steady. "Size is not everything, General. Humans have much to offer. We are quick learners. We adapt well to new situations. Our scientists have already made breakthroughs in medicine and technology." Yes, said Mev, waving one of his 4 hands. "We have reviewed your application. Earth may be granted observer status for now. In 50 years, we can discuss full membership." 50 years. Tay couldn't hide his shock. "But we were told—" "You were told we would consider your application, and we have," said Mev. "The council has spoken." Tay looked at G, who gave a small nod. They had prepared for this. "Supreme Counselor," Tay said, "Earth respectfully requests to join the Galactic Defense Force as well. We may be small, but we are strong fighters. We can help protect—" The chamber filled with laughter. Even the guards by the doors were laughing. "You, in the Defense Force?" General Bach's voice boomed. "A Drax child could crush your strongest warrior." Tay felt anger rise in his chest. But before he could speak, G stepped forward. "Council members," she said calmly. "While you decide on our request, may I ask about the station's shield systems?" The question was so unexpected that the laughter stopped. Ambassador Sith of the Visari hissed, "Our technology is not your concern, small one." G bowed respectfully. "I noticed unusual energy readings on our approach. Your sun appears to be entering an active phase." "We monitor the sun constantly," said the Visari. "Our systems are perfect." G looked down at her datapad. Her face showed worry. "May I access your sensor readings? I believe there is a danger—" "Enough," Mev said. "This meeting is not about our station. Return to your places." Tay looked at G. Her face was pale. She whispered, "The readings are getting worse. The station's sensors aren't detecting it." What readings? Tay whispered back. Solar flare. A big one, coming this way. G showed him her pad. Their shields aren't ready. Tay looked up at the council. They had already moved on, discussing the humans as if they weren't there. How long? He asked G. 10 minutes, maybe less. Tay made a quick decision. Try to warn them again. I'll go to the control room. G nodded and stepped forward again. Council members, please, your station is in danger. A solar flare is... Guard, called Mevi. Please control these humans. Zur moved toward G. Tai slipped away while everyone watched G. He spotted a control panel near the chamber doors. Years of training on alien technology was about to be tested. G kept talking, her voice growing louder. The flare will hit in less than 10 minutes. Your sensors aren't calibrated for this type of radiation. This is an insult, roared General Buck. You come here and claim our technology is flawed? Tay reached the panel and quickly studied it. The Kuln language was complex, but he recognized the symbols for shield and emergency. He placed his hand on the scanner. It was made for Kuln hands, much larger than his. It didn't respond. 7 minutes to impact, G called out. She held up her pad so the council could see. Look at these readings. Mev stood up, towering over G. This meeting is over. Guards, escort the humans back to their ship. Tay saw 2 guards moving toward him. He had one chance. Taking out a small device from his pocket, he placed it against the panel. It was a universal override designed by Earth's best engineers for emergency situations. The panel lit up. Tay quickly pressed the symbols for maximum shield power. A loud alarm began to sound throughout the chamber. What is happening? Demanded Mev. Station shields activating at full power, announced a computerized voice. Override that, ordered Mev. The human has activated our shields without authorization. Tay stepped away from the panel as guards rushed toward him. Check your sensors, he called out. The flare is coming. One of the council members, a blue-skinned giant, was looking at her own datapad. Supreme Counselor, she said urgently. He's right. A massive solar flare is approaching. Impact in 2 minutes. The chamber erupted in confusion. Mev looked at his screens and his eyes widened. How did we not detect this, he asked. Your sensors are designed for threats from other ships, explained G. This type of radiation spike is rare. Our sun on Earth produces them often, so we know what to look for. The station shuddered as the edge of the flare reached them. The shields glowed visible through the chamber's windows. Shield strength at 95%, reported the computer. Radiation levels within safe parameters. The council members watched in silence as the deadly solar energy washed over their station. If the shields had not been at full power, the radiation would have killed everyone inside. When it was over, Mev looked down at the humans with new eyes. It seems, he said slowly, that we have underestimated you. Tay stepped forward. Size isn't everything, Supreme Counselor. Humans may be small, but we notice things others miss. We adapt quickly. We act decisively. Mev nodded. You have given us much to think about, Commander Tay. Perhaps observer status is not sufficient for a species that has just saved the Galactic Council. For the first time since arriving, Tay smiled. It was a small first step, but humans had shown their worth. Not through size or strength, but through observation, quick thinking, and courage. Sometimes the smallest species could make the biggest difference. 6 months had passed since the solar flare incident. Humans now had probationary status in the Galactic Council. It was better than nothing, but still not full membership. Captain Sun sat in the mess hall of Earth's new embassy on the Council station. He was eating his lunch when Chief Officer G walked in. Captain, G said with a smile. Just the person I was looking for. Sun stood and bowed slightly. At 6 feet tall, he was one of the tallest humans on the station. Before joining the space program, he had been an Olympic athlete back on Earth. What can I do for you, Chief? Sun asked. G sat down across from him. Her face looked serious. The Council has issued a challenge. The Dracs want humans to prove our worth through the trial of strength. Sun put down his fork. The Dracs were the warrior species on the Council. They had rock-like skin and stood 9 feet tall. Each one weighed half a ton. "What kind of trial?" he asked. "Physical challenges designed to test strength and endurance," G explained. "No species our size has ever passed it." "So they're setting us up to fail," Sun said. G nodded. "Probably, but if we refuse, they'll say we're too weak to deserve full membership." Sun thought for a moment. "When is this trial?" 2 weeks from now, on Drax Prime." Sun's eyes widened. "Their home planet? The gravity there is 1.5 times Earth's." "Yes," G said. "That's part of the challenge." Sun pushed his food away. He wasn't hungry anymore. "Who's going to represent us?" G looked straight at him. "We were hoping you would." General Han was not happy about the plan. He paced back and forth in the embassy's meeting room. "This is a trap," Han said. "The Drax just want to humiliate humans. Captain Sun is one of our best, but he'll be competing against aliens 3 times his size." Commander Tay listened carefully. As the human who had saved the Council 6 months ago, his opinion carried weight. "What do you think, Captain Sun?" Tay asked. "Can you do this?" Sun had been quiet during the meeting. Now all eyes turned to him. "The Drax are stronger than us," Sun admitted. "But humans have something they don't." "What's that?" asked Han. "Endurance," Sun replied. "The Drax are built for short bursts of power. They tire quickly. Humans evolved to run long distances. We can keep going when others give up." Tay nodded slowly. "So you think you can win?" "I think I can surprise them," Sun said. "I'd like to try." Han threw up his hands. "It's your funeral, Captain." But Tay was smiling. "Sometimes the strongest species isn't the biggest." Drax Prime was a harsh world. The air was thicker than Earth's. The gravity pulled at Sun's body, making every step harder. As he stepped off the shuttle, he felt like he was carrying an extra person on his back. A Drax warrior waited for him. "I am Admiral Rock," the alien said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "I will oversee the trial." Sun looked up, way up at Rock. The Drax stood 9 feet tall, with gray, stone-like skin and muscles like boulders. 2 tusks curved up from his lower jaw. "I'm Captain Sun of Earth," Sun said. "I'm ready for the challenge." Rock made a sound. That might have been a laugh. "Are you?" "No one your size has ever survived the trial of strength." Sun met the alien's small yellow eyes. "There's a first time for everything." The trial would take place on a mountain called Cragg's Peak. 6 competitors would carry stone blocks from the base to the top. Whoever placed their block at the summit first would win. Sun was the only human. The other 5 competitors were from large, strong species. 3 were Drax, 1 was a Kuln, and 1 was from a species Sun didn't recognize, a 12-foot-tall being with 4 powerful legs. When Sun saw the stone blocks, his heart sank. Each one was a perfect cube, 5 feet. On each side, it probably weighed as much as a small car. "Begin!" Rock shouted. The aliens rushed to their blocks. The Drax competitors lifted theirs easily, though they grunted with effort. The Kuln used all 4 arms to hoist the stone. The 4-legged alien rolled its block onto its back. Sun approached his block. He squatted down, got his arms around the bottom, and tried to lift. It didn't move. He tried again, straining until his face turned red. The stone shifted slightly, then settled back. Around him, the other competitors were already moving up the mountain path. One of the Drax looked back and laughed. Sun needed a different approach. He remembered his training on Earth. "Work smarter, not harder," his coach used to say. Sun looked around and spotted some fallen tree branches. He grabbed several sturdy ones and made a simple lever. Using it, he was able to tip the stone onto its side. Then he pushed it, rolling it over and over. It was still incredibly difficult work. The gravity made his muscles burn. Sweat poured down his face. But the stone was moving. By midday, Sun had lost sight of the others. They were far ahead. But he kept going, rolling the stone, resting briefly, then pushing again. The mountain path grew steeper. Sometimes he had to use his lever to prevent the block from rolling back down. The sun beat down, making the air even hotter and thicker. Sun's lungs burned. His legs trembled with each step. But he didn't stop. As the day wore on, he came across the four-legged alien sitting beside its block. The creature was panting heavily, its tongue hanging out. "You still going, little human?" it asked in surprise. Sun nodded, too out of breath to speak. He kept pushing his block past the resting alien. A short time later, he found one of the Dracs. Warriors. The alien was on his knees, his block abandoned. The stone, too heavy. For so long, the Dracs gasped. Sun paused only long enough to offer the Dracs some water. Then he continued upward. By late afternoon, Sun's body was screaming for him to stop. Every muscle ached. His hands were raw and bleeding from pushing the rough stone. The reduced oxygen at the higher elevation made his head pound. But when he rounded a corner, he saw something that gave him new energy. One of the Dracs' competitors and the Kuln were both stopped on the path. Their blocks sat motionless. The aliens were slumped on the ground, exhausted. "Impossible," the Kuln said when he saw Sun. "How are you still moving?" Sun didn't waste energy on a reply. He put his shoulder against the stone block and pushed it past them. There was only one competitor left ahead, the lead Drax warrior. As the path grew even steeper near the summit, Sun caught sight of him. The Drax was barely moving, taking one step, then resting, then another step. The warrior heard Sun coming and looked back in disbelief. "You should have quit hours ago," he growled. "Humans don't quit." "Easily," Sun panted. The final stretch to the summit was the hardest. The path became so steep that Sun had to find a new way to move his block. He got behind it and pushed with his legs, inching it upward. He fell many times. His body begged for rest. But each time he got back up. The Drax warrior made one final effort, a roar of determination as he heaved his block upward. Then Sun heard a crash and a cry of pain. The Drax had collapsed, his block rolling back down the path. Sun was the only one still moving. Night was falling when Sun reached the summit. With his last bit of strength, he pushed the stone block into place. Then he collapsed beside it, his chest heaving. Stars appeared in the darkening sky. Sun looked at them through blurry eyes. Earth was out there somewhere, a tiny planet in the vast galaxy. But its people were strong in ways the larger species were only beginning to understand. Admiral Rock found him there a short time later. The Drax commander looked down at the exhausted human with new respect. "You are the only one to complete the challenge," Rock said. "No one expected this." Sun tried to stand, but couldn't. Rock reached down and helped him up. The Drax's stone hand was gentle now. "The trial of strength is not just about power," Rock said. "It is about continuing when others stop. Today you have taught the Drax something, little human." Sun looked up at the massive alien. "What's that?" he asked. "That strength comes in many forms," Rock replied, "and sometimes the strongest species isn't the biggest." Lieutenant Doe checked her gear one last time. Her combat suit felt light and thin compared to the massive armor worn by the alien warriors around her. At 5'5", she was the smallest person on the rescue team by far. "Are you sure that's enough?" "Protection, human?" asked Captain Gar of the Kuln. The four-armed alien stood 12 feet tall in his heavy battle armor. He carried a gun so big that Dew couldn't even lift it. "It's enough," Dew said simply. She didn't explain that her suit was made with advanced Earth technology, light but strong. The aliens wouldn't understand anyway. They thought bigger always meant better. The rescue ship shook as it entered the atmosphere of planet Cora. A distress call had come from the mining colony there. The Galactic Council had sent this team to help. "Remember," said Gar to the team, "I am in charge. The human is only here because the Council ordered it." Dew said nothing. After Captain Sun won the trial of strength 2 months ago, the Council had decided to include humans in more missions. But many aliens like Gar still didn't respect humans. That was fine. Dew wasn't here to make friends. She was here to do her job. The rescue ship landed near the mining colony. It was built into the side of a mountain, with tall buildings and deep tunnel entrances. But the place looked empty. No people moved around, no lights were on. "Life signs are faint," reported the team's medic, a blue-skinned alien named Vel. "Some colonists are still alive, but many are gone." "What happened here?" asked one of the Drax warriors. "Vex attack," said Gar grimly. Du had heard of the Vex. They were a mysterious species that attacked colonies to steal resources. They left few survivors. "We go in, find survivors, and get out," ordered Gar. "Stay together." The team moved toward the main tunnel entrance. There were 8 of them, 3 Kuln including Gar, 2 Drax warriors, Vel the medic, another alien. Du didn't know, and herself. As they entered the tunnel, Du noticed something the others missed. Small marks on the walls, signs of a fight, and something else, tiny holes in the floor. "Captain," she said, "I think we should—" "Quiet, human," snapped Gar. "Follow orders." Du pressed her lips together. "Fine, let them walk into danger." The tunnel sloped down into the mountain. The ceiling got lower, making the larger aliens duck their heads. The path got narrower too. Soon the Kuln and Drax had to turn sideways to fit through some sections. Du moved easily through the tight spaces. Her smaller size was an advantage here. She stayed alert, watching for more signs of danger. The tunnel opened into a larger chamber. Mining equipment sat abandoned. There were more signs of fighting here. Broken tools, burn marks on the walls. "Spread out," ordered Gar. "Look for survivors." The team split up to search the chamber. Du went to a corner where she saw a control panel. Maybe she could access the colony's security systems. She was working on the panel when she heard a soft sound behind her. Du spun around, her hand going to her weapon. A small figure huddled in the shadows. A child from the colony shaking with fear. "It's okay," Du said softly. "We're here to help." The child looked up. "They'll come back," he whispered. "The Vex, they always come back." "Where are the others?" asked Du. "Deeper tunnels," said the child, "hiding. The Vex took many away." Du called to the others. "I found a survivor." The team gathered around. Vel checked the child for injuries while the child told them about the attack. The Vex had come 3 days ago, moving through the tunnels like shadows. "How many colonists are left?" asked Gar. "Maybe 30, said the child. "In the deep tunnels. But you won't fit, the tunnels are small." The large aliens looked at each other. Then they all looked at Du. Du knew what they were thinking. She was the only one small enough to move through the narrow tunnels easily. "I'll go," she said before Gar could give the order. "No," said Gar. "We stay together. We'll find another way." But before they could decide, lights on the walls began to flash red. An alarm sounded. "They're back," cried the child. "The Vex are back." Everything happened very fast. Dark shapes rushed into the chamber from side tunnels. The Vex moved quickly, their bodies covered in black armor. They were smaller than the Kuln and Drax, but still bigger than humans. "Defense position," shouted Gar. The team formed a circle, weapons ready. The first shots were fired. Energy weapons lit up the chamber with bright flashes. The Kuln and Drax fired their big guns, but in the tight space, they couldn't aim well. They were used to fighting in open areas where their size was an advantage. Here in the narrow tunnels, they were slow and clumsy. Du pulled the child behind some mining equipment for protection. She fired her smaller weapon with careful aim, hitting 2 Vex, but there were too many. The rescue team was surrounded. The Vex closed in. "Fall back," ordered Gar. "To the main tunnel." The team tried to retreat, but it was too late. The Vex blocked the way out. More Vex poured in from other tunnels. Du looked around quickly. There was a small tunnel entrance nearby, too small for the larger aliens. But she could fit. A plan formed in her mind. "Cover me," she shouted to Gar. "I'm going for help." Before anyone could stop her, Du darted across the chamber and slipped into the small tunnel. She heard Gar shouting after her, but she kept going. The tunnel was tight, just big enough for her to crawl through. She moved fast, following the path deeper into the mountain. Behind her, she could still hear the sounds of fighting, growing, fainter. Many aliens would have called what she did cowardice, running from a fight. But Du wasn't running away. She was running toward a solution. the small tunnel connected to a larger one. Du could stand up again. She checked her device, which showed a map of the colony that she had downloaded from the control panel. The survivors were supposedly hiding in the deepest tunnels. But Du wasn't going there yet. First, she needed to even the odds against the Vexen. She found a storage room filled with mining equipment. Perfect. Du grabbed several items and got to work. Using her tactical training, she set up traps in the tunnels around the main chamber, tripwires connected to small mining explosives, pressure plates that would trigger cave-ins, simple but effective traps that would work against an enemy that didn't expect them. Next, she found the colony's environmental controls. With a few quick adjustments, she changed the airflow in certain tunnels. Some would now have more oxygen, making them brighter when fires started. Others would have less, creating zones where fires would die out quickly. Du's plan was taking shape. The Vex thought they had the advantage because they had ambushed the rescue team. But Du was about to ambush the ambushers. Back in the main chamber, things were going badly for the rescue team. They had been forced into a corner. Their big weapons were nearly useless in the close fighting. 3 team members were injured. The core Vex moved in for the final attack. Then the lights went out. In the sudden darkness, confusion spread. The Vex hesitated. A small explosion rocked one side of the chamber, then another on the opposite side. Smoke filled the air. Du's voice came over, the colony's speaker system. "Gar, get your team to Tunnel B now." Gar was confused but desperate. "Move," he ordered his team. They pushed through the chaos toward Tunnel B. As they entered the tunnel, lights came on, showing the way. Behind them, more explosions kept the Vex from following. "What is happening?" asked Vel as they hurried down the tunnel. "I think," said one of the Drax warriors, "the little human is smarter than we thought." Over the next hour, Du led the Vex on a chase through the tunnels. She used her traps to separate them, to confuse them, to turn their own ambush against them. She started fires in some tunnels, using the adjusted oxygen levels to create walls of flame that blocked some paths while leaving others clear. The Vex, who had expected to fight large, direct opponents, had no defense against these clever tactics. They couldn't find who was attacking them. They couldn't predict where the next trap would be. One by one, they were captured or driven away. When it was over, Du led Gar and the surviving team members to the deep tunnels where the colonists were hiding. As the child had said, the tunnels were so small that only Du could reach them. She brought the survivors out safely. Back on the rescue ship, Captain Gar approached Du. The massive Kuln warrior looked awkward, like he wasn't used to what he was about to do. "Lieutenant Du," he said formally, "you saved this mission. Without your creative approach, we would have failed." Du nodded. "Different problems need different solutions, Captain. Sometimes being big isn't an advantage." Gar was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "The Council will hear of your actions today. Perhaps we have been wrong about humans. Your size, it is not always a weakness." Du smiled slightly. "No, Captain. Sometimes the strongest species isn't the biggest." Dr. Min looked through her microscope at the blood sample. What she saw worried her deeply. The disease was spreading faster than anyone had expected. "Any progress?" asked Dr. Leth. The Visari doctor was 20 feet long, his snake-like body, coiled to fit in the lab. Like all Visari, he had scales instead of skin and a hood that spread when he was excited or upset. "Not yet," Min said. "The pathogen is unlike anything I've seen before." Min had been on the Galactic Council space station for only 3 days. She was the first human doctor invited to work in the Council's medical center. Normally, this would have been a great honor. But these were not normal times. A strange illness was spreading through the station. It affected only the largest alien species, especially the Drax. Already 50 Drax had fallen ill. 10 had died. The Council was afraid. "The Council meeting starts in 1 hour," said Dr. Leth. "They will want answers." Min nodded. "I'll do my best." After Dr. Leth left, Min returned to her work. The lab was designed for much larger beings. The tables were too high, the equipment too big. Min had to stand on a platform just to reach her microscope. But being small had one advantage. Whatever was making the aliens sick didn't seem to affect humans at all. The council chamber was filled with worried faces. Supreme Counselor Mev of the Kuln led the meeting. "The situation is getting worse," Mev announced. 73 cases now, 15 deaths, all among the largest species. The Drax representative was missing. Min had heard he was among the sick. "Dr. Leth," said Mev. "What has your team discovered?" Dr. Leth moved forward. "The disease attacks certain cells that are common in larger species. It causes fever, weakness, and eventually organ failure." "Is it contagious?" asked a council member. "Yes," said Dr. Leth. "It spreads through the air and by touch." "Is there a cure?" asked Mev. Dr. Leth's hood flattened against his neck, a sign of distress. "Not yet. We are working day and night, but this disease is unusual." "What do you mean, unusual?" asked Mev. Dr. Leth hesitated. Then he said, "It may not be natural. We believe it was created by someone." The chamber filled with shocked voices. Mev had to call for quiet. "Are you saying this is a biological attack?" Mev asked. "We don't know for sure," said Dr. Leth. "But the pathogen has features that don't appear in nature." Min listened carefully. What Dr. Leth was saying matched her own findings. The disease had been engineered, designed specifically to target larger species. But who would do such a thing? And why? "What about the humans?" asked a council member, looking at Min. "Why aren't they affected?" "We're not sure," said Dr. Leth. "Their biology is different. The pathogen seems to ignore them." Some of the council members looked at Min with suspicion. She understood why. If humans were immune to a disease that was killing other species, some might wonder if humans had created it. "Dr. Min," said Mev, "you've been studying this disease. What are your thoughts?" Min stepped forward. She felt very small in the huge chamber, but her voice was steady. "The pathogen targets certain cellular structures that are more common in larger species," she explained. "Humans and other small species have different cellular structures, so we're not affected." "Can you create a cure?" asked Mev. Min took a deep breath. "I believe so. But I'll need full access to the station's medical resources. And I'll need samples from survivors who have fought off the disease." Mev looked at the other council members. After a moment, he nodded. "You have whatever you need, Dr. Min, but please hurry. More fall ill every day." Min returned to the lab with new determination. The council was counting on her. If she failed, thousands might die. She worked through the night, studying samples and running tests. The lab was empty except for her. The other doctors had gone to treat patients or to rest. As she worked, Min noticed something strange. The pathogen was changing, adapting to attack new cellular targets. It was as if someone was updating it, making it more dangerous. Min checked the time. It was very late. She should sleep, but there was too much to do. She reached for a new sample and knocked over a vial. It shattered on the floor. "Careful. There," said a voice. Min spun around. Dr. Xor stood in the doorway. He was from a species Min didn't know well. About 9 feet tall with pale blue skin. "I didn't hear you come in," Min said. "I was checking on your progress," said Dr. Xor. "The council is very interested in your work." Something about his tone made Min uneasy. "It's going well," she said. "I should have preliminary results soon." Dr. Xor moved closer. "You know, it's interesting that humans are immune to this disease. Very convenient." Min pretended to focus on cleaning up the broken vial. "Just a biological difference," she said. "Nothing special." "Perhaps," said Dr. Xor. "Or perhaps there's more to the story." After he left, Min couldn't shake her feeling of unease. She decided to learn more about Dr. Xor. Using her tablet, she searched the station's records. Dr. Xor had arrived just 2 weeks ago, right before the first cases of the disease appeared. He specialized in genetic engineering. Min's unease grew, stronger. She needed to be careful. The next morning, Min arrived at the lab to find it in chaos. Someone had broken in during the night. Her samples were destroyed, her computer files were deleted. "Who would do this?" asked Dr. Leth when he saw the damage. Min had a suspicion, but she didn't share it yet. "I don't know," she said. "But I saved backup files in my quarters. We haven't lost everything." She didn't mention that she had also hidden some samples in a place only she knew about. Min was learning to be cautious. Over the next few days, Min worked harder than ever. She moved her main lab to a smaller room where only she could fit comfortably. She kept her most important findings to herself. The disease continued to spread. More Dracs died. The colon began to fall ill too. The station was in a state of emergency. Min knew she was close to finding a cure. The key was in the blood of survivors who had fought off the disease. Their bodies had created antibodies that attacked the pathogen, but human blood had something special too, something that might make the cure even stronger. A week after the lab break-in, Min called a meeting with the council's emergency committee. Dr. Soar was there, watching her closely. "I've developed a treatment," Min announced. "It combines antibodies from survivors with a compound found in human blood." "Human blood?" asked one committee member. "Why would that help?" "Our immune systems evolved differently," Min explained. "We developed defenses against a wider range of pathogens because Earth has so many diseases. Those defenses work against this engineered pathogen too." "How soon can you begin treatment?" asked Mev. "Immediately," said Min. "I've already produced enough for the most critical patients." Dr. Zor spoke up. "This treatment should be tested more thoroughly before use. It could be dangerous." Min looked directly at him. "More dangerous than letting patients die? I don't think so." Mev made the decision. "Begin treatment immediately, Dr. Min. We have no time to waste." The treatment worked better than anyone expected. Within hours, sick patients began to improve. The death rate dropped to 0. New cases became less severe. Min supervised the production of more treatment doses. She was exhausted but satisfied. Her work was saving lives. She was in the production lab when the security alert sounded. Someone had been caught trying to release a new version of the pathogen into the station's air system. It was Dr. Azor. Under questioning, he admitted everything. He worked for a group that believed larger species had too much power in the galaxy. The engineered disease was meant to weaken them, allowing smaller species to take control. "You're human," Dr. Zor said when Min visited him in the detention center. "Why did you work against us? We would have made humans powerful." Min shook her head. "That's not how humans want to gain respect. We want to earn it by helping others, not by hurting them." Dr. Exor couldn't understand. For him, power came from making others weak. For Min, true strength came from healing, from using knowledge to save lives. At the next full council meeting, Supreme Counselor Mev publicly thanked Min. The giant Kuln had to bend down to place a medal around her neck. "Dr. Min has shown us something important," Mev said to the council. "Strength is not measured by size, it is measured by actions, by intelligence, by compassion." Min looked out at the huge chamber filled with beings from across the galaxy. Many of them had once looked down on humans for being small and weak. Now they looked at her with respect. "This human doctor saved thousands of lives," Mev continued, "and she taught us an important lesson." Min smiled as Mev spoke the words that were becoming familiar across the galaxy. Sometimes the strongest species isn't the biggest. Admiral Wan stood on the bridge of the Earthship Defender. The view screen showed a terrible sight. 3 galactic council ships were burning, attacked by strange vessels with pointed, claw-like shapes. "The Krell ships are changing course," reported Officer Pak. "They're heading for the colony on Banis 4. Wan's face was grim. 3 years after Earth joined the Galactic Council, a new enemy had appeared. The Krell were a species no one knew much about. They had come from outside Council space, attacking without warning or mercy. "Warn the colony," ordered Wan. "Tell them to evacuate if possible." "Sir," said Puck, "the Drax battle cruiser Stone Fist is asking for orders." Juan nodded. As the highest-ranking human in the Galactic Defense Force, he was now in charge of this battle group. It wasn't because humans were the best fighters. It was because humans had proven to be the best thinkers. "Tell Captain Mach we're following the Krell to Banis 4, said Juan. "We need to protect that colony." As Defender changed course, Juan thought about what they knew of the Krell. They were big, even bigger than the Drax. They stood nearly 15 feet tall with natural armor and immense strength. Their ships were faster and their weapons more powerful than Council ships. In the 3 months since the Krell appeared, the Council had lost 15 battles. Thousands were dead. Many colonies had been destroyed. Something had to change, or the Council would lose this war. The battle at Banis 4 was another defeat. The Krell destroyed half the colony before one ships arrived. They fought hard, but the Krell ships were too strong. One had to order a retreat to save his fleet. Back at the Council station, an emergency meeting was called. The Council chamber was tense and quiet. Many representatives looked afraid. "The situation is dire," said Supreme Counselor Mev. "The Krell have defeated our forces at every turn. Our biggest ships and strongest warriors can't stand against them. Perhaps it is time to try a different approach," suggested Ambassador Sith of the Vizari. "Our traditional methods are failing." All eyes turned to Admiral Juan. He stood and walked to the center of the chamber. "The Krell are bigger and stronger than any Council species," Juan said. "Their ships have better weapons, their armor is tougher, but they have weaknesses too." "What weaknesses?" asked General Bach of the Drax. His people had suffered the most losses in the war. "We hit them with everything we have and still they come." "We've been fighting the wrong way," said Juan. "We try to match their strength with our strength, but that's not how humans would fight an enemy bigger than ourselves." The Council members listened carefully now. Humans had earned respect in the last 3 years. Their ideas were often unusual but effective. "I propose a new strategy," said Juan. "Instead of attacking the Krell directly, we target their command structure. Small, fast ships. Special teams trained to infiltrate rather than attack head-on." "You mean stealth attacks?" asked Mev. Juan nodded. "The Krell expect us to meet them in open battle because that's what big, strong species do. They don't expect us to slip past their defenses and hit them where they're vulnerable." Some Council members looked doubtful. This was not how wars were, traditionally fought in the galaxy. But traditional methods weren't working against the Krell. "I will lead this mission myself," said a new voice. General Yu had entered the chamber. She was one of Earth's top military leaders, known for her brilliant tactics. "Give me 3 days to assemble my team," said Yu. "I'll need the best infiltration specialists from all Council species. Not the biggest or strongest, the smartest and most adaptable." Mev looked around at the Council members. One by one they nodded. 3 days, General Yu," said Mev. "May the stars guide you." General Yu's team met on the Council station. There were 20 of them. 6 humans, including Yu herself. The rest were from other Council species, but not the ones usually chosen for battle. These were the smallest members of their species, the ones who moved quickest and thought fastest. "Our mission is simple but dangerous," Yu told them. "While the main fleet distracts the Krell Armada, we will infiltrate their flagship." "How?" asked Vel, a medic who had worked with Lieutenant Doe on the mining colony rescue. Yu showed them a diagram of the Krell flagship. It was massive, nearly a mile long. Like all ships built for large species, it has maintenance tunnels, air ducts, and service corridors that the Krell themselves are too big to use, Yu explained. They use drones for maintenance. We will use these passages to reach their command center. "And then?" asked a Vizari who was half the size of most of his kind. "Then we take control of their ship," said Yu. "Not by fighting the Krell directly. We would lose that battle, but by using their own systems against them." It was a bold plan, maybe an impossible one. But everyone in that room knew that conventional tactics wouldn't work against the Krell. "We leave in 6 hours," said Yu. "Get ready." The battle began, near the Krell fleet's position. Admiral Wan led the Council ships in a direct attack, exactly what the Krell expected. The massive Krell ships moved to engage, their weapons ready. What they didn't notice was a small transport ship moving quietly around the edge of the battle. It carried General Yu's team. The transport reached the Krell flagship and attached to an outer maintenance hatch. Yu's team, wearing spacesuits, entered the giant ship. Just as Yu had predicted, the maintenance tunnels were big enough for them to move through but too small for the Krell. They encountered maintenance drones but disabled them quickly. The team moved deeper into the ship. Through narrow passages and air ducts, they made their way toward the command center. They placed small devices at key points: power junctions, air systems, communication nodes. Remember, Yu told them, our goal isn't to destroy the ship. It's to take control of it. After 2 hours of careful movement, they reached a position just above the Krell command center. Through a vent, they could see the Krell leaders. They were even bigger than reported, 15 feet of armored muscle with claws and teeth that could tear through metal. Yu gave the signal. The team activated their devices all at once. The lights in the command center flickered. The air vents began to release a pale mist, a sedative gas that Yu's scientists had created, designed to affect the Krell's unique biology. The Krell commanders roared in confusion. They tried to call for help, but the communication systems were down. They tried to leave, but the doors were locked. Slowly, the massive aliens began to wobble on their feet. The sedative was working. One by one, they collapsed to the floor. Yu's team dropped into the command center wearing gas masks to protect them from the sedative. They moved quickly to the control systems. Change the atmospheric composition in all crew areas, ordered. Yours not enough to kill, but enough to make them sleep. Within minutes, the flagship systems were reporting that Krell all over the ship were falling unconscious. The biggest, strongest species in the galaxy had been defeated not by greater strength, but by something they never expected. Enemies too small to notice until it was too late. Admiral Wan watched in amazement as the Krell flagship turned its weapons on the other Krell ships. A message came through on the command channel. Admiral, this is General Yu. The flagship is ours. We're using their own codes to confuse the Krell fleet. The remaining battle was short. Without direction from their leaders, the Krell ships fell into disarray. Some retreated. Others surrendered. For the first time, the Council had won a major victory against the invaders. A month later, the Krell signed a peace treaty with the Galactic Council. Their invasion was over. They had been defeated not by a stronger enemy, but by a smarter one. In the Council chamber, a new galactic charter was being signed. For the first time, it recognized all species as equal members, regardless of their size or physical strength. Admiral Wan and General Yu stood with the other human representatives. Supreme Counselor Mev approached them. You have taught us all an important lesson, said Mev, one that the galaxy will not forget. What lesson is that? Asked Yua. Mev smiled, a rare sight from the serious Koln leader. That strength comes in many forms, and that the galaxy's strongest species isn't the biggest. One looked around the chamber. Representatives of hundreds of species were there, some towering giants, others small like humans. All were now seen as valuable members of the galactic community. Humans had found their place among the stars not by being the biggest or strongest, but by being adaptive, clever, and determined. They had turned their small size, once seen as a weakness, into their greatest strength, and in doing so they had changed the galaxy forever.